meeting of the Waycross Commission is now called to order. At this time, we will stand with our invocation, after which we will salute the flag. Let us bow. Precious Father, we bless you and thank you for another day, another opportunity to come before your presence. And we ask, God, that you bless our business meeting, that we will conduct ourselves in a wise manner, and that your name may get the glory. Bless each soul that is here. Thank you so very much for those who have been working diligently in our community, whether by teaching or prevention. We appreciate you, Lord, using them. And we pray now that as we go forward in this meeting, that your grace and your goodness will be seen. This we pray in Jesus' name. Amen. Amen. Let us look to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. As we take our seats tonight, we will hear our decorum and then our executive duties.
The mayor, commissioner, staff, and citizen attendants shall conduct themselves in a professional and respectful manner, except when specifically authorized by the mayor. All remarks, comments, and questions shall be directed to the mayor and not to an individual commissioner, staff, or citizen in attendance. A commissioner, staff, or citizen in attendance shall not speak at a meeting until the commissioner, staff, or citizen in attendance has been recognized by the mayor and granted permission to speak or ask a question. All comments, questions made by a commissioner, staff, or citizen in attendance shall address the motion that is being discussed or pertinent to the agenda item before the commission. Any and all personal remarks, comments, or questions are inappropriate. The mayor shall enforce these rules of decorum. If a commissioner believes that the rule has been broken, said commissioner can raise a point of order. A second is not required. The mayor can rule or the question, or the mayor can allow the commissioner to debate the issue and decide the issue by majority vote.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. At this time, our executive duties. I have two presentations tonight. Proclamation for the Domestic Violence Awareness Month, followed by the proclamation for the Retired Educators Month. At this time, I'll come down to you. All those that are standing with prevention, if you would stand. And our representatives.
You can come down.
We'll smile for the camera first.
Yeah.
She always tries to hide the camera. Hold on just a second. We're gonna present it as it.
That's right.
Proclamation.
Get your mic, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you so much. Whereas the damaging effects of domestic violence negatively impact thousands without regard for age, race, religion, gender identity, culture, sexual orientation, or socioeconomic status. And whereas law enforcement, local and state agencies, community groups, businesses, and faith-based organizations must work together to identify effective intervention strategies and education and prevention programs that will disrupt the cycle of violence. And whereas the Georgia Commission on Family Violence and the Georgia Coalition Against Domestic Violence, who serve victims of domestic violence and their children, support and encourage a coordinated community response in preventing domestic violence. And whereas it is essential to raise public awareness of the frequency of domestic violence, recognizing the signs of such violence and intervening before it escalates. And whereas during the month of October, domestic violence advocacy organizations, victim-serving professionals, system partners, communities, and allies come together to unify and support those working to end violence, support survivors, raise community awareness of the devastating effects of domestic violence, honor and support those that have survived, and mourn those we have lost. Now, therefore, I, Dr. Michelangelo James, Mayor of the City of Waycross, do hereby proclaim October 2021 Domestic Violence Awareness Month in the City of Waycross, and I urge all citizens to join this important effort to end the cycle of domestic violence in our communities. In witness whereof, I have set my hand hereunto, my name, and have caused the seal of the City of Waycross to be affixed this 5th day of October 2021.
Thank you. Thank you. Just thank you for your support of Magnolia House and all we offer to our communities. And the pandemic has caused a lot more effects than what people has known. We've served more people in one single year in 2020 than in past years. I've been here in over 30 years in this community, so the impacts of violence have not stopped. And we just appreciate you bringing awareness to the City of Waycross.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, ladies. We certainly appreciate the work they are doing. At this time, we're going to call our educators. I think we'll do the same. We'll stand, take our photo, and then proclamation. Whereas the governor of the state of Georgia has proclaimed the day of Sunday, November 7th, 2021 as Retired Educators Day in Georgia, and whereas there are more than 135,000 retired educators in Georgia, 31,000 plus of whom are members of the Georgia Retired Educators Association, and whereas the retired educators of Georgia donate thousands of hours of volunteer service and make invaluable contributions to the welfare of their respective communities across the state. And whereas it is appropriate that a day be designated for citizens to express their appreciation for the contributions that retired educators have made and continue to make for the betterment of human lives for society. And whereas local churches will recognize those lasting contributions made by retired educators in this community now. Therefore, I, Dr. Michelangelo James, Mayor of the City of Waycross, do hereby proclaim the day, November 7th, 2021, Retired Educators Day in Waycross, and I call upon citizens of our community to observe the day in appropriate manner, honoring retired educators. In witness whereof, I have hereunto signed my name and have caused the seal of the City of Waycross to be affixed this 5th day of October 2021. Congratulations, ladies.
I would just like to say on behalf of the Waycross Ware County Association, Retired Teachers Association, we thank you all, the mayor and everyone else, for everything you do to support us. We give to the schools still. We take items to the school. We're just still involved, and we thank everything that you all do.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, educators. Madam City Manager, do you have a report for tonight?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, thank you. I will mention that this week is Georgia Cities Week. It's a week where we just love on our city and show how much we do love our city. We have had 2 schools participate in our art contest. Their work is still on display in the city auditorium if anyone would like to go see their work. Today is a Facebook selfie contest, having a selfie taken with in your favorite spot in the city of Waycross. There will be a gift card for the winner of that. Tomorrow is the Centenarian Day, where we celebrate our centenarians. We do have our fire department, who has posted on their webpage, their Facebook page, two centenarians in the city. And we've shared that on Waycross's Facebook page as well as our Instagram page. Thursday is a spotlight on our parks by our police department. And Friday is Movie in the Park. It will be in Plant Park, and it's Disney's Onward is the movie. There will be hot dogs served that night, and popcorn and drinks. I will also announce that our splash pad we had a soft opening this past week. It was fantastic. It was on Thursday. The surface has been redone again. There were a few slips on Thursday. The surface has been redone again. There's more tacky on the surface. That will be open this weekend. That is the plan. On Sunday, for an event that we will hear about a little bit later, I do believe, the Faith in Blue celebration is from 1 to 3 in Purnell Roberts Park. The splash pad will be open for that. The high is supposed to be 84 Sunday, so we'll see how that goes. And hope everyone enjoys it. That's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The only public service announcement I have tonight is that we have the Meet the Candidates Municipal and Elections Forum, and that is being held tonight, Tuesday, October the 5th, and it's held at the C.C. McCray City Auditorium. And the time starts at 5:30 today, but of course, our time for the city will start about 7:15, I think, between 7:15 and 7:30. So we look forward to seeing those who have opportunity to come to the C.C. McCray Auditorium and listen to our candidates as they respond to questions regarding their potential running and or work in the office. Thank you. Are there any public remarks on official actions?
No, sir, Mr. Mayor.
At this time, we will hear our consent calendar.
Approval of minutes, Waycross City Commission Planning and Information Session, Monday, August 2nd, 2021, 5 p.m. Waycross City Commission meeting Tuesday, September 7th, 2021, 5 p.m. Ordinances, second readings. An ordinance to amend the code of the City of Waycross, Georgia to amend Chapter 6 Alcoholic Beverages, Article 1 in general by amending Section 6 through 7, consumption upon public ways, public street or highway, public property or public places, to provide for codification, to provide for renumbering or relettering, to provide for severability, to repel conflict in ordinance, to provide for an effective date and for other purposes. There are no privilege license renewals or privilege license, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. We entertain a motion.
Move for approval, Mr. Mayor.
Is there a second?
Second the motion.
We have a motion from our Commissioner Solomon Gaines and a second from our Commissioner Hopkins. Are there any comments? Hearing none, we move into voting. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Consent calendar passes. Madam Clerk?
A resolution of the City of Commission of the City of Waycross, Georgia, requesting. Oh, wrong one. Okay. A resolution of the City of Commission of the City of Waycross, Georgia, requesting protection and for Okefenokee Swamp and for other purposes. By adopting this resolution, the City Commission will show its support for protecting the integrity and natural resources of the Okefenokee Swamp. Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. We entertain a motion.
Move for approval, Mr. Mayor.
Second the motion.
It's been motioned by our Commissioner Solomon Gaines and seconded by our Commissioner Hopkins. Is there any discussion about this resolution?
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor.
Commissioner Solomon
I
Gaines.
made the motion so we can get to discussion. Can we get with the county and see we can't go ahead and do a joint resolution with the county? So can we do that? Is everybody on board with that? If so, I need to change my motion.
Well, my thinking is, if I may speak, Mr. Mayor, is if there is a motion and a second, and then that passes with that, then I will tomorrow prepare a joint resolution for this commission to sign, with the mayor to sign for this commission, and then we'll send it to the county. I
need to
think,
restate the motion.
I think you just make the motion that it be a joint motion, then we'll have the city clerk read it again with that in the title.
Okay, so my first motion, either I have a second, it dies, so I need to make another motion.
Yes, I think so. I think you will make a motion that we adopt a resolution for, a joint resolution with the county.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, may I restate my motion?
Yes.
I move that we do a joint resolution with the county for the protection of the Okefenokee Swamp Park and other purposes.
And I second that motion.
It has been motioned and properly seconded that we would do a joint resolution with the county. Any more discussion?
Mr. Mayor, I
Commissioner
think
Hopkins?
a representative is here tonight, isn't she? Can she talk about it a little bit? There you are. I couldn't find you.
Is there something specific you'd like to know?
Just a brief what we are wanting to do with the joint resolution.
Yes, ma'am. We are going around folks that have stake within the Okefenokee, and Waycross obviously is holds a big stake within the Okefenokee to have support to support it against a mine that is proposed to be. They're asking for permits from the EPD in the southeast corner, and it has direct impacts within the Okefenokee due to water drawdown, and that has the potential of losing jobs in the area. And so we're asking for support within resolutions from cities and counties to say, no, this is a bad spot to have a mine. Okay.
What the resolution is saying. Thank you very much for coming and explaining it to us.
Any further questions or comments? Hearing none, we'll move into voting. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. This resolution passes. Madam Clerk.
Actually, Mr. Mayor, the motion to make it a joint, so now the city clerk will read it as a joint resolution. So you can vote on that.
Thank you.
A joint resolution between the City of Commission and of Waycross, Georgia, and Ware County Commission of Waycross, Georgia, requesting protecting for the Okefenokee Swamp and for other purposes. By adopting this resolution, the City Commission will show its support with a joint resolution for protecting the integrity and natural resources of our Okefenokee Swamp. Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Now we entertain a motion.
Move for approval, Mr. Mayor.
Second, Mr. Mayor.
We have a motion by Commissioner Hopkins, a second by our Commissioner Solomon Gaines. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll move into voting. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. The approved resolution.
A resolution of the City of Waycross, Georgia to approve FY 2021 Homeland Security Grant Program Agreement for the Waycross Police Department and for other purposes. By adopting this resolution, the Commission will approve the FY 2021 Homeland Security Grant Program Recipient-Subrecipient Agreement in which a grant amount of $19,798 was awarded to the Waycross Police Department to prevent, prepare for, protect against, and respond to acts of terrorism. Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. We entertain a motion.
Move for approval, Mr. Mayor.
Second the motion.
It's been motioned by our Commissioner Solomon Gaines, seconded by our Commissioner Hopkins. Is there any discussion on this resolution? Hearing none, we'll move into voting. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. This resolution passes. Madam Clerk, do we have any guests?
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor. I have Miss Stephanie Adams with the Bethesda House. Did you please state your name and your address, and just remember you have 5 minutes to speak. You can step to the podium.
Hey, Mr. Mayor, thank you for letting me speak. My name is Stephanie Adams. I'm with Bethesda Recovery. Address, like my home address? Okay, great. Just want to make sure. Okay, 1010 Mary Street. Okay, so Sunday from 1 to 3, we're going to be we're a part of a Faith in Blue weekend. Bethesda Recovery has partnered up with the police department. Bethesda Recovery is going to be celebrating 25 years of faith-based recovery right here in this community. They've been helping women recover their lives for 25 years. And we're trying to get out there in the community more to help bridge some gaps, that we see. And Chief Cox has been so wonderful about letting us come aboard for this Faith in Blue event. We're also gonna have hot dogs, so it looks like it's just gonna be a hot dog weekend. And I really would like to call on the churches in the community and the citizens. I believe that this could be the first board into bridging the gaps in this community, to where we can collaborate with one another. No matter the churches, no matter the color, none of that matters, because at the end of the day, it's just us people. We need to come together to build a stronger community, so that we can take back our community from these gang violence and stuff. And we also need to show the people that we support our local law enforcement, and they're going to have their cars out there. So the kids will get to come and do the cars, see the cars. I don't know yet on the helicopter. There's been a little bit of talk on that. I'm not 100% sure. But there's going to be a lot of fun, a lot of fellowship, and also door prizes. And one of the door prizes the police department has been so gracious to donate is a bicycle. But we're going to keep the other one a surprise until the event. And so this is a personal invitation. Come and build that connection with us. Give us your information so that we can move forward in the community with collaborating and working together in future events. So thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah, thank you. Bethesda Recovery, 25 years. That's pretty good. Madam Clerk?
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor. I have Mr. Tim Peacock. Please state your name and your address, and just remember you have 5 minutes to speak.
Yeah, Mayor, Commissioners, Tim Peacock, 906 Euclid. I was going to talk about something tonight that we discussed last night in the meeting, and seeing that I never want to speak behind anybody, and we don't have that person available tonight, I'm going to pass our next meeting, because we talked about the decorum and everything last night. I'm kind of confused about where we are with the decorum. We thought that what we talked about last night broke decorum, because after a consensus of the people that were in this room that night, I'm not sure that we got the right answers last night about what happened. To walk behind that wall over there and talk on that telephone, and to interrupt Michael Hargrove while he's up here speaking, if that's not decorum, I don't know what is, because that was just so unprofessional. And there's things floating around from the same person about need to be professional and courteous and all to each other in these meetings, and that wasn't very courteous or professional. And you told me 2 weeks ago that when we discuss something, we would discuss it on Monday. Well, I was here last night. We talked about it. There wasn't a word said, not one word. One truthful word said. I'll put it that way. What happened? It's not business the way it was handled, and it should be handled in a different way. And like I say, I don't know. We read this decorum every week that we want to stick with that, and so far we've not really had anything out of the way up until that night, and it wasn't handled. And with you running the meeting, Mayor, I put all that on you, because that's your job. And the commissioners can speak up and say whatever they want to when this happens. But as far as calling down anyone or calling a point of interest, whatever, however you put it. That's what, or point of order, whatever. That's what we need to do, because things got out of hand right there. And everybody that's sitting in this room knows it did, and knows it was about as discourteous as you could see in a professional meeting. And that's what I would call this that we're having right here, is a professional meeting. And after, just like I said last night, sitting in 1,000 of them, we don't have that, and we shouldn't have that. But if you got any comment, anything you want to say tonight, because I know you always say that you want to say it on Monday, but last meeting, you came forward on Tuesday night when we talked. And believe me, that was a blessing to hear something come from you, because I've been up here several times and not heard a word. So if you got anything, I'm all ears. If not, that's where I'm at.
Commissioner Solomon Gaines wants to return.
Mr. Peacock, you're absolutely right. And it's not just on the mayor. Any of us could have called a point of order. And I wanted to, but the issue is that when it comes to certain things or individuals, I don't always need to be the one to do it. So, but you're absolutely right. All of us, each one of us has the responsibility to call a point of order, and we could have put a stop to that. So that falls on all of us. That's not just on the mayor. Every single one of us sitting up here. But sometimes, the expectation is that to let Marion do it, and Marion just didn't do it.
Right.
I just didn't do it.
But
from now on, it won't happen again.
that
Let me tell
comes on
you
y'all a
this.
lot.
I can promise you this, for myself, it won't happen again.
Yeah.
Because I will call it out. It's not going to happen again. But you're absolutely right. That never should have happened. But that's on all of us, not just the mayor.
Yeah. And just like what you just said, I think that sometimes it's expected from here when it should come from everywhere.
That's right.
Right. Because
Sometimes just to keep the peace, you just don't say anything. Just
yeah. And you want to keep the peace, but you want to make this a
yes,
professional
sir.
meeting.
You're right. You're
And,
absolutely
and
right.
that's what each one of us want to do.
You're right.
Because these guys with these TV cameras, everybody out there in that community sees it. I had no idea how many people did see it till I'm walking through Walmart and somebody comes up and says, "Hey, you're the so-and-so guy. You're the one that said something about this." And these are people that I have never known, didn't have no clue, but we saw you on the commission meeting and whatever, which works fine with me because I'm a staple now. I used to just be somebody come up here and had something to say, but I'm a staple now. And I'll be here from now on. So,
Mr. Mayor.
you got anything, Mr. Mayor?
Commissioner Hopkins, and then I will speak.
Mr. Peacock, we thank you very much for coming, and you're exactly right. We were having a business meeting, and you're right, each one of us could have called a point of order, and we should have. But to get up and to, when a person is speaking to me, that is very disrespectful. And I don't care who it is, whether you like them or don't like them, or like what they say, or not what they say. I've always stood there and listened to them. Sometimes I totally disagree with what they have to say, but you still honor whoever has the rights to get up there and speak their 5 minutes. And a cell phone shouldn't be the time. Even if it's an emergency, you get up and go out. And I mean, I've had mine on silent when my husband was very sick, but never did I get on the meeting and talk to him on the phone unless I got up and went out. So yes, that is showing respect for the person who is speaking, and I agree with you 100%. And I'm glad you brought it to our attention, because I'm like Mary, and we all have the responsibility of conducting this, helping the mayor to conduct this meeting and keep everything at peace. So thank you for coming forward, and thank you, and apologize to Mr. Hargrove that he was treated like that. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
I got
Thank you,
one last
Commissioner
thing,
Hopkins.
Mr. Mayor.
Go right ahead.
Being raised in Waycross, being raised in a small family, poor family, two things we had. We had respect and faith in God. Didn't either one of them cost you a nickel. And you gave respect and you appreciated God, because he's the one that let you stay here. So anything else beside that doesn't really matter, because you can have 50 cents or 50 million, God ain't gonna look at you no different. And if you look at somebody because they've got that 50 cent or 50 million a different way, you're looking at them the wrong way. Thank you.
Do we have another guest?
Yes, sir. Mr. Michael Hargrove. Please state your name and your address, and just remember you got 5 minutes to speak.
My name is Michael Hargrove, 2012 Alice Street. You know what? I'm not going to dwell on that. Tim made a very good point. Everybody in here understands it. Okay, it's just not the professional thing to do. I didn't get upset about it because, you know, consider the source. I came up here to talk about visibility, okay? And I don't want to beat the stormwater fund issue to death. I know it was voted on. It's a done deal, okay? I didn't realize until last meeting, the Tuesday, that it was a done deal, that it was simply like a dog and pony show to consummate it, vote on it, and be done with it for the Tuesday television show. It brings up what I wanted to talk about actually. That's visibility, for lack of a better word. I'm not sure we're getting the amount of visibility on certain issues that affect the pocketbooks of people in this town. Certain issues like stormwater funds, where it gets automatically added to a bill after a vote. Without maybe a little bit more discourse, a little bit more discussion on the front end over a period of a month or two. I understand that we had something at the McCray Auditorium in June. We had something online in August, and followed by 65 seconds of citizen input. But the point being is, I think the city needs to work a little bit harder on advertising these upcoming agenda items that affect the budgets, that affect people's pocketbook via utility fees, rates, and whatnot. And I would ask also, since I got my PhD like another guy a couple of weeks ago in city business, how it operates, I would respectfully request that WAYX TV in Waycross, as well as the Journal Herald here in Waycross, maybe put a little bit more time and effort and exposure into these Monday meetings and any other meetings that happen before the actual vote occurs. Apparently a lot of things go on in Mondays that you never hear about or see about in Tuesdays. And it would give the people feeling that they're shortchanged as far as information coming from the city. And I think it would make the city's sales efforts a lot easier if it was done a little bit more in depth. And I'm thinking about the city's website. I'm thinking about many public websites where you can just blast an ad out, you know, like the splash pad opening. It doesn't have to be on one website, the city's, 4 hours before it's supposed to happen. It should be happening a week, 2 weeks before, and it should be a total blast across any available medium. I don't understand why that doesn't happen. Also, I understand it's in the works, but this is a copy of the city calendar for this month. It's almost exactly the same as it was a year ago when I first brought this up. The little items in red here, this one's for tonight, and this one's for 2 weeks from now. There's nothing in here about any activity regarding the city meetings or any discussions. And we've had this discussion before, okay? It's not the way you run a professional business. You know, you've got a city website people go to, they find nothing. For the first few times, I thought the meeting was postponed when I looked at it. There was nothing there. Point being, you've got so many avenues, including maybe some businesses that are willing to participate with a community bulletin board that would be happy to post something if the city would put out an email blast and please post this on your board so your customers can see this. You know, what's new about any of these ideas that I've talked about? Nothing. You just have to do it. And if you do it and be upfront and open about things, more visibility, I think you'd get more participation from city residents. I think you'd have more acceptance of financial decisions that you make with these residents. Anyway, that's all I got to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other guests?
No, sir, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. We'll move into our last call. Commissioner 3.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to thank all the guests that attended tonight, along with thanking everyone that came out the other week or so that participated in our changing our youth narrative. We had a pretty good showing of outcome of people. I think we had something like maybe close to 40 people that came out. And I want to appreciate the chief taking your time out and the staff that came also, along with the school board and our city leaders and our pastors and our communities that did attend. We're going to have another one that's coming up, and it's going to be about unity. I think the young lady spoke of Bethesda House here, spoke about unity here in this community coming together. That's some of the things we're doing with these youth now, what we got going on in our community with the gang violence and different things about us coming together. What can we do for these youth to change the narrative? And I invite anyone that's going to come out. We will announce the date and the time. Other than that, I appreciate you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Solomon Gaines.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I want to announce that the Waycross Alumni Chapter, Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, will be having some workshops and email blasts and also Facebook blasts about redistricting. Every 10 years, we have the census. After the census is completed in the following year, which will be this year for us, 2021, our elected officials on the state level redraw the county lines, or redraw district lines, basically. That's going to happen again. What we want to avoid, what we need to avoid, is what we have in Ware County right now, just in Ware County. And it's called cracking, C-R-A-C-K-I-N-G. Cracking is when the lines are drawn in such a way that they split the county, and you may have more than one representative for that one county. That's where we are right now on the state level. That's exactly where we are right now. There's another term, packing, whereas you have people of similar backgrounds. It may not just be color, it may be religion, it may be whatever, where you pack all those people into one area in order to get supporters, or their supporters. For example, let's say I'm running for state rep. And in my district, I want only blue people. So I make it a habit, or make my counterparts help me to get only blue people in my district. That's called packing. We don't want that either. There's another term, prison gerrymandering. And what does that mean? Prison gerrymandering means that, for example, we have a prison here in Ware County. In Ware County, those prisoners are counted, or those inmates are counted in Ware County's numbers. Is that fair? May or may not be. Because the other part of that is we may have more inmates from Ware County in other locations. So they're not being counted in our numbers. So this is very, very serious. We need to take it seriously, because as a result of that census, those numbers, it's going to determine the amount of money that comes into this community from the federal government, from the state government. We have a lot of work to do. And what I'm in the process of trying to do now is pull something together where we can actually come together as a community. Maybe the City Auditorium, I'm not sure. And I want to bring someone down to help us to practice drawing our lines for Ware County. We need to have input into what we want our county to look like. And having 2 or 3 representatives, that's not it. That's not the look we want. That's not the look that we want. So listen out for that. I'll be making those announcements. And the city of Waycross, back in 2001, and help me out, Diane, someone from the federal government, I believe it's from the federal government, came down and helped us to draw our lines for the city of Waycross. Mm-hmm. And so we need to get somebody down here to help us do that again. We don't need to sit on this. We don't need to sit on it. And Mr. Worley, Back in that time, you were right across the street from me. Believe it or not, you were actually in my district. But because we had to redraw those lines, the government said, no, you're going to have to give up that side of your district. And that's how you are no longer in District 3. All of us had, all the districts had to give up seats as well. Not seats, but streets as well. So we're gonna work on that, and when I do, I want to see this community get involved. This is not just, I'm back to you, Mr. Hargrove, it's not just a responsibility of your city and county governments, it's a responsibility of this entire community. And so we need to get to work, and let's get it done. Back to you, Mr. Mayor, thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Hopkins?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Marion's exactly right. That did happen, and it really messed our districts up because, like in Gilchrist Park, one street, one half of Washington's mine, one is Mr. Threet's, some is Marion's. So people out there get so confused they don't even know, which street, just because this neighbor here might live in front of them doesn't have me as a representative. And I still get calls from people out there that used to be in my district that don't even know. So that is a very, very important decision. And not, like Marion said, not just the local level for the city commissioners of the county, but it's very important for representatives in this district for Ware County. Years ago, we had one representative for all of Ware County. They split us up. Now we have 3, and I don't think it's as effective as it was when we had one going to Atlanta pulling for us. And
None of those we have is from Ware County now.
and none of them's from Ware County except one, Jim, Mr. Burchett, but he's on that end of the
that
county.
end, yeah.
But ours is from St. Mary's, one's from Valdosta. So there we sit in the middle of some people don't even know who their representative is because we don't have a local representative except for the one on the other end of the county, and he's not anywhere in the city. So that is very, very important. So when those meetings start, please, Mr. Hargrove, you and Mr. Peacock are in the community, Mr. Worley, y'all please get people out to come and to let's fix it. My personal belief is we need to go back to one county and one representative in Atlanta that can vote for what we need in Ware County. That's all I have, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Strickland, our Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to thank the Magnolia Bethesda House for being here tonight, along with the retired educators. It's nice to see the turnout and support that they were giving each other and the support that they've been giving tirelessly to this community for so long. It's that type of stewardship that this community is founded on, in my eyes, and you see continually working out, people always willing to help each other, help their neighbor. And let's not let that die or that tradition go away, but let's continue it and make it further and stronger. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Commissioner. Do want to thank the educators who are here tonight. Thank you so very much for your training. I specifically have a great heart for educators. I had a mom who was an educator, and I serve as one as well. So I love, love, love educators, and I want to commend you on what you do in our communities and how you continue to deal with the issues that arise, and especially having to deal with these new rules and regulations that are coming out and yet going in and still providing supplies for the students. That is awesome. Do want to thank Bethesda House. Had an opportunity to go over a couple of times, and I'm really appreciative to you for the work you're doing preventively. We do recognize there's a need, and of course, we have to stick together to do that. And I thank you for talking about bridging the gap. In the city of Waycross, since I've been in office, and that's only been 1 year and about 9 months, but in that time frame that I've been here, we've established some things, and we've tried to set an opportunity before our community to do some interagencies to get them together, different groupings. And I think this is going to be even more helpful. So thank you again for what you've offered to us today with our chief working with the Faith in Blue. Wanted to comment just briefly about some of the events that we've had discussion on tonight, and I know my time is short, but I want to share this. Decorum was not read before if I am not mistaken, I don't think decorum was read before any meetings until I became the mayor. And the purpose for having to read them and for setting this in place is so that we could at least see what's in our code and what's in our book. And I requested that we place them on the back of our agenda so that you can read them. And everyone who has an agenda tonight, you have decorum on the back of it. In any classroom and any other room that you have, you must have discipline. And there must be a way of seeing how that can be meted out. I appreciate both Mr. Peacock and Mr. Hargrove as they responded to what we encountered the other week. But throughout the entire time that I've been here, we've only had, if I'm not mistaken, one event of that sort. But with that being said, I'll say this. When someone steps outside of the scope of this room, and of course, if you read letter A under decorum, it says the main focus is when they're addressing any issue, you address it to the mayor. Sometimes that might mean they'll say, Mr. Mayor, and go right to talking without being fully acknowledged. However, I then use the gavel and I say, bring it in. In the case of a person stepping outside of the big chamber into another place, we could have waited, and I understand what you're saying. From this point on, you won't have to bring that back to us. I guarantee you. But what I like to say to you, I like when people come to me too. If you were to come to me and share that with me on the sidelines, just like you shared it on the public forum, that could have been handled as well. I think sometimes a good bit of this is retaliatory. People retaliate about certain things. I'm not saying it's from that end or from up here, but I am saying sometimes responses, reactions come as a result of something someone has done or said. I think if the entities would get together and communicate, it's no good to have these meetings and try to bridge gaps, but yet we don't communicate with each other. Our job is to talk, to share. And if we share that information, it's not about who's right or who's wrong. Of course, we know some events and activities that go on are not good. Going back to what we talked about with regard to the water. Yes, we've done publications and we put things out. It was in the newspaper. It was on WAYX TV. When it came down to stormwater, we do recognize, as you said, some things are announced and people attend them, such as our youth having the opportunity to be addressed. But the youth didn't come. The adults did. What I say to people oftentimes is, if you want something done correctly, sometimes you have to do it yourself. You can't always depend on other people to do that. I don't depend on Commissioner Solomon Gaines to bring point of order. Oftentimes, anyone in this room can bring point of order when something's out of order. That's the reason why it's in the documentation. We have an attorney on the side here. Oftentimes, I'm looking over just to see if we're walking that walk. That parliamentary procedures have to go forth. Until we know specifically what is needed and necessary for a meeting such as this, respect for the person sitting in the seat, who happens to be me today. But there are others who have sat in this same seat, and that same respect was due them just as well. And there will be some who come after me, and I suggest that we respect them in their position. Sometimes you may not like the person, but you have to honor them for the very work's sake. That's a biblical statement. Good times come when we acknowledge those who are in position. I think some of the problems I have when I'm in a meeting, people say things and do things purposefully to be distractive, to be disruptive, to disrespect me and or the other commissioners. That's okay. I know how to do that. That's why this wood, when it comes together, it makes a good sound. And I'm good at music, and I'm certainly good at putting this down. So when we have a problem another time, I certainly can say to you, this is the end of that. And when I say it's the end of a thing, I know Alpha and Omega, beginning and end. The first and the last, and that was the first time, and that's the last time. And I appreciate your comments. Now, if there's any other questions or comments, generally where I come from, I've been a bishop now. This makes my 41st year as a minister. Maybe about 32 years pastoring one group. But let me say to you, we never have problems because we know how things are organized and ordered. And I do know this. Usually when the bishop gets through talking, that's the bishop. Now, I didn't say the mayor. When the bishop talks, there's usually nobody coming after him. In here, we sometimes have commissioners and different other ones who want to respond and react, and I can allow for that because this is a totally different setup. But it's just how we do things. We'll remember that from this point on. And I appreciate you, and I thank you for coming and doing what you do. To all who have been in attendance today, get ready for a great move because it's going to happen moving forward. I entertain a motion for adjournment.
For dismissal, Mr. Mayor.
Second the motion.
It's been motioned and it has been seconded. And of course, since the Robert's Rules of Order don't require a vote, I just say this meeting is adjourned. Have a great evening.